Welcome Home Go, inspiring you to find ways to serve, engage, and make a difference. Making it easier for you to find hope in your busy world. Our original production on Good Life 45, where hope happens. Go, make a difference.
Hi everyone, I'm Barbara Beck and I want to thank you for tuning in to Welcome Home Go. 30 minutes of discussions on challenging topics that will inspire you to go, make a difference. This shorter version, a spin-off of Welcome Home, was created because we know you're super busy. So we've made it even easier for you to find hope, to grow in your faith walk, and then go and make a difference in this challenging world of ours. You'll still get the same meaningful, inspiring discussions on topics that we believe Jesus would want us to respond to by serving wherever we're called. Our focus on Welcome Home Go is to encourage you to find ways to serve that fit your lifestyle and your set of God-given gifts. These next few minutes together, let's listen and learn how to mobilize our families, our friends, our people, and do something to make a difference in someone's life. Maybe it's just one person, but go, serve, be the hands and feet of Jesus, and enjoy with me now. Welcome Home Go.
Go, make a difference.
Hey viewers, I'm glad that you're here with us today. We have an exciting kind of a topic that we're going to be talking about, and that's nothing is impossible with God. You know that, you believe that, and we have a guest with us here today who is living evidence of that. Lots of people told him, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. And he said, oh, yes, I can. With God, nothing is impossible. Michael Attardi, former NFL player and author of the book, You Can't Do That, and you say, yes, I can.
Yes, I can.
Right?
Yes.
So happy to have you here with us today on the program.
Thank you so much.
Tell us, well, first of all, let's give a little shout out to Father John Gill. We love him. He's your father, right?
He's our father, yes, over at Holy Family Church, but he's also an incredible mentor and a great person.
I love him. He's a partner with us here. We show his some of his preaching on Sunday afternoons here at the station, and we just think he is the greatest guy. He's a character, right?
Oh, he sure is.
He is. He's a man of God.
Yes, he
All right,
is.
so tell us a little bit about your childhood, how you were brought up, and you did not ever believe you would be a football player, right?
Well,
Or did you believe you would?
I did.
You believed you would. Okay.
No one else did.
Well, why was that?
Let's see. Growing up, I had a really bad speech impediment, in fact.
Really?
Yeah, I stammered a lot, and they actually didn't know why. And I also read things backwards, so I was dyslexic.
Mm-hmm.
And back in the 70s, they really didn't know too much about dyslexia and speech impediments and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So I figured it out with my mother that my thought process, my thinking process was so much quicker than my speech and my reading. So when I started to slow down and really concentrate on things that I was talking about, also I would memorize things, and when I memorized things, I would not have any issues. So I started to act, and I started to sing. And that's why guys like Mel Tillis, who was such a great singer, he had no problems because everything was memorized and everything became a rhythm of it. So I had to retrain myself how to speak, how to read.
But you had a Monsignor back when you were a child who was really an important influence in your life, maybe a mentor, so to speak?
Monsignor Bradley, he heard me sing. I was probably around 10 years old, and we were singing God Bless America at the end of his sermon, and he heard me sing, and he knew that I had a speech impediment, so he pulled me aside afterwards. I thought I did something wrong. I'm like, no, I didn't do anything. So he says, hey, I heard you sing. And I was kind of amazed, but I was in the war, and he started to tell me this incredible story about how he was a father. He started in 1941, and he was sent overseas, in fact, and he actually had someone in his battalion that had a speech impediment, but he sang like an angel, he said.
Interesting.
So he said, I want you to start singing for the choir. And I'm like 10 years old. I'm going, what? No, wait a minute. Hold on. So finally, my grandmother, who went to church every single day, she goes, you have to join the choir. If Monsignor Bradley says,
right.
you have to join the choir. So I joined the choir, and it changed my life forever, because that was the only time that I was able to like communicate and really express myself fluently.
And it gave you some confidence too, I'm sure, right?
A lot of confidence,
Yeah.
There is no doubt about it. So if it wasn't for Monsignor Bradley to say, I want you to start singing, I probably would have never sang.
Now, do you still keep up with him?
You know, he passed away quite some time ago, but he's just an amazing, amazing person. He left such a legacy at St. Michael's Church in Long Branch. Beautiful, beautiful church there.
There are very few World War II veterans left. And so when I hear somebody speaking about one, I'm like, oh, I hope they're still around so that you could give him the kind of kudos that you just gave him. But he's hearing it from someplace else, right?
Yeah, and his story is amazing. If you go online and you Google him, Monsignor Bradley, there's a bunch of things on him. Yeah.
Okay, well, I didn't ask you this before, but sometimes people who have a great singing voice will just break out in song for us. Are you interested in singing God Bless
I would
America?
today, but I am so congested from the allergies today.
Okay, we'll give you a pass.
It had to be you.
Oh, I love that.
It had to be you.
I hear no congestion. I hear a beautiful, beautiful voice. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Okay, so you're a little boy now, and you're wanting to play football, and you're not that big, right? You're not like the NFL players that I've met in the past are kind of big guys.
At that time, I was probably about 125 pounds, like soaking wet. And I turned to my dad, who was an all-state and all-county, all-shore football player.
Wow.
And I used to go in his room, and there was a scrapbook there, and I would open up this scrapbook, and I said, wow, that's my dad, and his name was on all these articles and stuff, and that's really what inspired me to be a football player. I mean, I was like 120, like I said, I was skinny as a rail, and I just wanted to play football, and I didn't know how I was going to get there. Most of the things I've ever done in my life, I never knew how I was going to do it, but with the grace of God and with the power of God to help me in my direction, he has always pointed me to the ways of making it happen.
So what did your dad say? Your dad knows you're kind of little. Your dad probably wasn't a little guy. Was he big?
No, he was a huge
guy,
strong guy.
Okay, so does he say,
very
Michael, no, you're not able to play football. You're too small.
Well, he was a Korean war hero, in fact, and he was an MP. And when he spoke, everyone listened.
People listened. Yes, I can imagine.
And he was like, "Hey, I think you could be a better baseball player," like that. I was like, "Okay." So I started to play baseball, and I really excelled. In fact, people thought I should have probably been a pro baseball player rather than a football. But at that time, Italian family, middle class, they didn't really know how to save back then, I guess, for college. So I had to find a way to trade football for an education.
Right.
Because at that time, they were definitely giving away a lot more football scholarships than they were ever giving away baseball scholarships.
Sure.
So I sort of switched and I said to Dad, I said, hey, I know you're probably not going to like this, but I want to stick with football, but all the way.
Good.
And he goes, okay, let's do it.
Good. So you got encouragement from your dad. He thought it was okay.
Oh yeah. From always, from when I was little, always.
Your dad believed in you.
He would always say that. Listen, Attardi's never say no, like that, and that was always in my mind and stuff like that.
So you became a kicker in high school.
Yes, I played linebacker.
Wow.
I played defensive back and wide receiver. So about my junior year, I was told, hey, listen, you're too slow to be a defensive back. You're too slow to be a wide receiver, although you have really good hands. But I think you should start maybe looking to like a specialty.
Okay.
I'm like, okay. So one day I was kicking a soccer ball, and one of my coaches says to me, he goes, hey, can you kick a football? I was like, I don't know. And And he holds it, and I kick it through, and he's like, well, you're our new kicker now.
Amazing.
I'm like, okay.
Amazing.
And that's how it all started.
That served you well. That got you into college, right? You had your college scholarship because of that?
Full ride scholarship, and I actually went to Kutztown University with Hall of Famer Andre Reed, who was my housemate at the time, and he's the one who talked me into going there too as well.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
And so how did you get into the NFL after college?
Well, I got really lucky. About my senior year, I was kicking on a football field, and and those moments when you reach up and you look at the skies and you say, God, please give me direction. Please give me hope here and help, because all my friends were at the beach and I'm here working like nonstop. And I remember this one moment. I was like in tears, crying because I was working out so hard. I was doing bleachers and running up and down the stands. And this one guy, he pulled me aside. He goes, I see you here every day. And I said, yes. And he goes, why? I said, why? Because I have it in my heart, in my belly. I want to get a scholarship. I wanted to do well. And that man was Jim Garrett. And Jim Garrett was a Dallas Cowboy scout for like 30 years.
Wow.
And he lived in the next town over. And every day that I was there, he was scouting someone that was a possible NFL player. I never knew this. I was just at the right place at the right time. But I think, like I said, God gives things to people.
That's right.
All the time. And they work hard and you will succeed. So I'm there and he goes, I want you to come over to my house. And I thought that was kind of weird at first because I'm like, who's this guy asking me over to his house? But I get there the next day and guys like Sammy Mills and his son, Jason Garrett, who is now the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys, he was my holder. And and all these guys that are potential NFL ball players were in the side yard of his yard. And I'm like, what am I doing here? But he was a mentor. He was a teacher. He was an incredible man.
And he believed in you.
He believed in me because I had heart.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing that he said, no matter what, I'd rather have one guy that has heart than 10 guys who have talent because I can teach you.
Yeah. Where did the heart come from, Michael?
I think with, growing up, having the speech impediment, having these issues, being teased as a kid, and just wanting to really succeed.
Yeah.
I had a great conversation with Drew Brees during the NFL Pro Bowl.
Okay.
I always said to him, I said, I wonder, what made you become who you are? And he goes, it's funny you asked me that because I know that you have a speech impediment. And I said, yes. He goes, do you see the scar here? And he has, and he has a birthmark on his face. And he goes, kids used to tease me about that all the time. I said, you? He goes, yeah. He goes, they used to tease me. And so I needed to find an outlet. I needed to find something. And football was my outlet and stuff. And,
Well, I think it's interesting how God can use those things that we see as obstacles in our lives to really help us to become overcomers. And that's absolutely what you are. And the fire in your belly, wherever it came from, whether it's being bullied or whether it was having a dad who encouraged you, God used it for his good to help you see with him, nothing is impossible.
That is so true.
What else have you done with your life? Because you've done some really cool things. I mean, I've read videos, watched videos and read articles about you. What's one of the most kind of cool things that you think you've done?
Well, there's life after football. The NFL really stands for not for long. And so being there for only a few seasons, a lot of incredible benefits come, of course, after that. I've been able to get into something that I've always wanted to do. My father, when he was passing away on his bed, and he turned to me, and at that time, I was emotionally drained. And he goes, God doesn't give things to people that they can't handle.
Wow.
And that really, that really came into my heart.
Yeah.
And he goes, you should be doing something that you love, and I know that you love filmmaking. And at that time, I had a very successful, and still do have a very successful sports publication, and I had my first son. And so I'm like, Dad, I have everything. I have a beautiful home. I've got a beautiful cars. I got a gorgeous wife. I've got a son now. I said, what can I possibly do that is beyond this? He goes, make your films.
Because that was your passion, and he knew that.
And he knew that. And so I decided to make my films.
That is so cool. And so what kind of films have you done?
Well, my first film I made was a short animated film. It was called Once Upon a Christmas Village. And I'm extremely thrilled to say that it won 96 awards.
Amazing.
On the film festival circuit. And it was crazy how it took a life of its own. But I think it did because of Tim Curry and Jim Belushi. Now, you're probably thinking, how'd you get Tim Curry and Jim Belushi to be in your movie? Well, it's a great story. It's a funny story. I kept on sending it to their agent, and their agent said, send it back, unsolicited. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this isn't gonna work. And so, as a kid growing up in college, I took a job during the summer for Federal Express. So I wind up keeping the outfit for just a lark, for maybe one Halloween or something. So I literally get dressed in a FedEx outfit. I fly all the way out to LA and put the whole uniform on. I bring the package to Innovative Artists, and I said, I'd like to see so-and-so, and they said, okay, come on in, and she comes in, and I hand it to her, and I said, Federal Express package. She goes, well, why couldn't you leave it at the desk? I said, because there's something very special in here. And she goes, you're not the FedEx man, are you? I said,
wow.
I said, no, I'm not, but I'm a writer, director, producer that's been trying to get the script to you. And she goes, you wait right here. And she brings in her top agents, and she goes, who's this person? And they're all like, the FedEx guy. And I'm like, no. I said, I'm just a writer, director, producer, and I'd like you to have Tim Curry do my film. And she goes, you got him.
No way.
And then she goes, who else? I said, Jim Belushi. She literally gets on the phone.
No.
This is how Hollywood works. She gets on the phone, she goes, hi, it's so-and-so. I need Jim. Okay, great. Thank you very much. You have Jim.
How in the world did you have the courage to do something like that? I mean, that's the title of your book. You can't do that. I'm telling you right now, Michael Attardi, you can't do that. You can't dress up like a FedEx man. You can't go to Hollywood and do that. And you did it, and your answer would be, yes, I can, Barbara.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So you won 96 awards for that film.
Yes,
did you meet Jim Belushi, obviously, and Tim Curry?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What are they like?
They're great guys. They really embraced the film because of the fact that it had a lot of humor to it. And Jim told me this great story that the reason why he said yes to it is because I had a little bit of an edgy Santa Claus in it, which is he's very funny.
That's who he was, right?
He was like the dad driving the car, and they're like, "Don't let me stop! Don't let me pull this car over! If I pull this car over," so it's like Santa going, "Don't let me pull this sled over," like that to the elves. So he started laughing. He goes, "My very first job was in acting, was playing Santa Claus." I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And he tells the story about how him and his brother, Jim and John, they literally worked in a burger place for the uncle. And if you ever seen Saturday Night Live, cheaper, 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 like that whole skit was a real skit based on Jim and John's uncle. And then the uncle turned to Jim one day and said, why don't you do what your brother does? It seems easy. Just go there and act. He goes, here's your first job. Put on a Santa suit.
Unbelievable.
And he told me his story, and I just thought it was great. Yeah.
As you're talking, I wanted to ask you who your most interesting person is. It might have been Jim. Was it Jim Belushi, or are there other people that you've met that are just kind of outstanding in your life?
Oh, wow. There's so many. I mean, I don't want to sound like, oh, wow,
No, I want you to. I want to hear who you met. I'm interested.
I mean, I had an amazing experience with Tom Hanks. Also, one of my very dear, dear friends is Michael Strahan,
Oh, I love
a
him.
Hall of Famer,
Yes.
Good Morning America,
Right, right.
great guy. We still hang out and keep in touch and
You
stuff.
do?
And, yeah.
Well, next time he's in town, would you please send him my way? Come on, Michael.
I will.
You can become my new best friend if you send me some people like that
Thank
who
you,
have
thank
stories
you.
about Jesus. I mean, are there any Christians along the way that you've met that have really impacted your life?
My goodness, there's like so many. I mean,
Yeah.
really, I mean,
Drop some
because,
names. It's okay to name drop with me. I'm fine with that.
You know, I had a chance to spend some great time with Paul Sorvino, actor Paul
Yeah,
Sorvino.
yeah.
The godfather of my third son is Federico Castelluccio. He played Furio in The Sopranos.
Okay, I did not ever watch that, but
I know.
I'm hearing you. Sorry.
He's a great guy, though. He's like the opposite of.
And that's your
that
child's
show.
godparent.
Yes, it is.
Godfather.
Yeah. No. He's a real godfather.
You have lived, yeah, I bet. You have lived a very colorful life. There's a story, I'm sure it's in the book, but it's about, that I saw in one of your videos that you produced, that you wrote, directed, produced, I'm sure you did it all.
Yeah.
But it's about your trip to Cozumel during Hurricane Wilma.
Yes.
And how you, with another you can't do that, yes I can, stories, is that you got all these Americans out of Cozumel who were stuck there because of the hurricane. Tell us a little bit about that story, because I love this.
Okay, well, it was a crazy time. I mean, we actually won that trip. My father-in-law won that trip, and I at a scuba diving show. And we were excited. We're like, oh my goodness, we're going to go to Cozumel. We're going to go diving for
Did
a
you
few
know how to
days.
scuba dive?
Oh yeah.
Before that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
no,
you already knew.
Yeah, no, I'm like a
of
serious.
course you did.
I'm a serious diver. I love to dive. And
You skydive too?
no, I will not do that because my wife said I can't.
Okay, well, good. Obey your wife. That's good. All right, back to Cozumel.
So she, so I wind up telling my wife that, hey, we got this trip to Cozumel, and my wife is like, go. You and my father will have a great time. I said, great. So we go, and the day we're there, we get into the water, we're diving the first day, and we're like, oh, this is like paradise. And then we get out of the water, and all of a sudden this person comes up and goes, are you going home? I'm like, why? I just got here. And they're like, well, a hurricane's coming, like that. I'm like, oh yeah, really? Okay, yeah. I'm thinking, it's just gonna breeze by and stuff like that. So I turned to my father-in-law. I go, do you want to weather the storm, or you want to head out? He goes, well, maybe we'll try to weather the storm. I said, all right, great.
Another day of scuba diving.
Yeah. So we spent another day scuba diving, having a great day, and all of a sudden, Hurricane Wilma comes, and it literally hovers Cozumel for over 24 hours. It did so much damage.
Oh, wow.
There were 3 hotels that were right on the shore that were just down to rubble. There was a point that we were helping the dolphin experience there, like move dolphins into our pool.
Wow.
But it was pretty scary. I mean, because they had us downstairs in this this holding cellar area, and just the flooding was happening and everything. But it sounded like about 1,000 cats, just that real eerie,
Yeah, the wind.
like that. Yeah, it's like wow, And I never thought I would experience that.
Not a New Jersey boy. He would never experience a hurricane, right?
So so we just had to find ways to survive. There were some senior citizens there. There were children there. They were out of formula. They were out of food, water.
So you're wanting to get these people. There are 100 and something Americans that you're trying to get them out of Cozumel.
Yes.
This is the story. This is the part of the story I want you to tell, because you were serving. You in your heart, this fire in your belly says, we got to get out of here, and I got to get all these people out of here with me.
I needed to, because it was really bad, and I really wanted to help all these people get out of there. It wasn't me. I would have stayed behind as long as I got them out. There was this one couple that they needed their medication, and there was
So they needed to get
nothing
out.
in town. So
The funny part, where
I
you
saw
have
the
this
phone.
credential. What are your credentials to get
Well,
people out?
I saw the phone, and the phone that I found, I spliced the wires together. And I literally got on the phone, and a friend of mine knew Anderson Cooper. And so I get on the phone with CNN and Anderson Cooper, and I'm literally giving the news from this payphone that's been spliced.
Right.
And then I had to unsplice it because the Mexican government didn't want me talking.
Sure.
And so it was very like cloak and dagger kind of thing for a few days. But then it was ironic, when on my passport, I had this congressional sticker that I used to work on Capitol Hill. Back in college, I did an internship for a few congressmen and some senators up there, and I kept the sticker. So when we were going up to the thing, I pull out my sticker and I said, I'm here with the U.S. Congress. I got to get all 125 people out. And the guy with machine guns and guards, I mean, they were all over. They go ahead, go. And we literally got on a continental
amazing.
flight.
Yeah.
And I got all 125 people out.
You are amazing.
No, it was crazy, but it was God sent.
was
There was
God,
no
right.
doubt about it, because I don't know why he said yes to that lousy sticker, but there was over about 300 people that were still trying to get.
But you got
on
your
the flight.
Americans out of there, and God told you to do that, and you said, God said go, and Michael Attardi made it happen. You can't do that, Michael Attardi, and Michael's answer will be, yes, I can. His book that he's written about all of his different experiences, it'll be a great read for you. If you're interested in that, you can go to the website that is up on the screen for you now. Michael, thank you so much for being here with us today. What an encouragement you are. And viewers, we just hope that the discussions that we have here will help you to see the power of Jesus in your life. And because our Lord is in us, he can make a difference, not only in our lives, but in the lives of those around us. You know, it's one thing for us to talk the talk, and I've said it before, we do it pretty well around here. But after we hear about Jesus and we grow in him and we have that foundation, what's next? Well, it's time for us to realize that with God, truly nothing is impossible. You can't do that, everybody's going to say to you. Your answer is, yes, I can, with God's help. We need to believe, like our guest today, Michael Attardi, that God is in the business of empowering his people to go out and be more than they ever dreamed of being for the kingdom, not for us, for the kingdom. So let's mobilize our families, our friends, our people, and do something to make a difference in someone's life. Maybe it's just one person, but go and serve. Be the hands and feet of Jesus, and stay with us. We have more coming up.
Go. Make a difference.
Powerful words and discussions, even challenging in a lot of ways, right? Well, it certainly makes me want to re-examine my own priorities. I want to make sure that everything I'm doing is in line with God's will for my life, being involved in ministries and activities that are pleasing to my Father, and never just spinning my wheels. Well, I know you're super busy, and here at Good Life 45, we want to serve you in the best ways we can and make it even easier for you to find hope in this challenging world. That's why our focus on Welcome Home Go is to encourage you to find ways to serve that fit your lifestyle and your set of God-given gifts. Friends, we need to be learning, applying our hearts to instruction, finding ways to be winsome to the world, but then going out and serving like Jesus would do. He would go and serve others. That's our calling. God's going to use you in ways you can't even imagine. So keep learning and growing, but take another step. You don't have to go across the ocean. Like the program you just saw, we want to share countless examples of ways you can change people's lives right here, right now. Go. Just make a difference in someone's life. And that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching Welcome Home Go. I hope to see you out there, and God bless you.
You just watched Welcome Home Go, a Good Life 45 original production that makes you part of our Hope Team here on Good Life 45, where hope happens.